I think Willy Wonka accidentally helped resurrect Dracula, and I can't unsee it. Welcome to Creepin' It Real. Thanks for joining me. I'm Judah. We're talking about 1970s Taste the Blood of Dracula. This is a Hammer production starring Christopher Lee, his fourth time in the role of Dracula. Now, before we dive into this, and we will get into it, I wanted to show something to you all that really brought a smile to my face. Though it was not meant to, somebody left a comment. YouTube gave it a soft block. I cannot even approve it to be seen. But let me read it to you. Pierced ear homo and stoner giggler have low IQ conversation. Like I said, I can't even approve this to be seen. YouTube found it offensive and they were like, well, we'll let you see it in the back end, but we're not going to let you approve this for mass audience. But the whole pierced ear homo and stoner giggler just cracked me up. And I took a screenshot of this and I sent it to a dozen of my favorite people, one of them being my cousin AJ. And he sent me this image because I said it might be time to change the name from Creepin' It Real to ear-pierced homo and stoner giggler have low IQ conversations. So he created this new header for our YouTube channel, and it really made me laugh. And I just wanted to give a shout out to AJ. Thanks for joining in on the joke. And anybody else that feels like you have some criticism, go for it. Now, on the topic of ear-pierced homo and stoner giggler, the funny thing is, I can't comment on what Jake does in the bedroom, but he has a pretty good cover. He has a wife and 6 kids. And me, as far as a stoner goes, my older brother worked for one of the largest dispensaries in Michigan, and my younger brother lives in Oregon and has his own pot farm. But oddly enough, I have never even experimented with recreational drugs. So despite the long hair and the beanie saying other, I have never sampled drugs. But thanks for your concern. Now on to the taste of Dracula's blood. Hammer wanted it to be a Dracula. You know, they wanted to use the Dracula name, but him not actually be in the film. But the financiers were like, no, we're not going to finance this unless you get Christopher Lee back in here. And Christopher Lee was also kind of like, I don't want to be typecast, because this would be his 4th time entering the film as Dracula. Since the financiers were saying no without Lee, and Lee was saying, I don't want to be typecast, somebody finally threw enough money, and Lee was like, okay, I'll come back. Even though he was already concerned about being typecast, he came back and played Dracula 3 more times. I gotta tell you, despite the fact that I've never taken drugs, if wearing a beanie and having long hair presents me as taking drugs, I will take that typecast if it gets me a lot of money. So, you know, I'm not booing on Christopher Lee for changing his mind and being like, you know what? Money is important, because by golly, if the beanie and long hair and people thinking I took drugs would get me money, I'd lean into that stereotype completely. Back to the movie. Christopher Lee then decides, okay, you guys are offering me enough money, I will come back. Taste of Blood doesn't tread any new ground, and it features one of the lamest deaths I've ever seen. He doesn't die in a blaze of glory. He sort of gives up. I honestly don't know what kills him. It's like emotional exhaustion, external confusion. That's the best that I can guess. Just starts getting confused and having visions, and then just falls over and dies. It was just so lame. No stake to the heart, no cross, you know, smashed against his head, no wrapped up in a garlic blanket, nothing. It was just I'm confused. And then he just was like, gave up and died. And it also hit me. This Dracula from the Hammer universe might be one of the weakest Draculas put to film. I mean, this Dracula dies and raises from the grave at the drop of a hat. Somebody could sneeze in the next room and Christopher Lee's Dracula is already given up the ghost. Despite this not treading any new ground, what we have is 3 middle-aged men who are pillars of the community, you know, outwardly. They're really just bored. They're bored to death. And these 3 middle-aged men, they have this little club and they meet up once a month and they go to this strip club or this whorehouse. And while they're there, a young nobleman bursts into their private room and snatches one of their whores with no concern whatsoever. He didn't care who they were. He didn't care that they were pillars of the community. He knew that his favorite whore hookup was in there, and he was going to get what he came for. These three guys are kind of just looking at each other like, the nerve. Doesn't he know who we are? They connect with the manager of this establishment. And they're like, who was that guy? And he's like, oh, he's the young noble, blah, 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 blah. So they wait outside, not creepy at all, for this guy to come out of this whorehouse. And they're like, hey, join us in our little stagecoach. And I'm like, you guys have been waiting for me out here? I'll pass. We have this little club. We're kind of bored with life. And we can see that you have this zest, that you do things in an exciting manner. And we want you to teach us how to party. Tell us where all the cool raves are at. This is what the young nobleman says to him. How far are you willing to go? And they all kind of look at each other and they're like, we're willing to go all the way. Perfect. So he takes them to this curiosity shop. Now, the movie actually starts with the owner of this curiosity shop. He's actually a peddler of kind of goofy things. He's trying to sell a snow globe at the beginning of the movie to someone in a stagecoach. They throw him off for being a peddler of cheap wares. And when he gets thrown off, he's wandering through the woods, is where he comes across these items that are needed to perform this ritual that this young nobleman is going to take these three men through. Now, here's the weird thing. This guy knows what he has. He has the key to the tiger's cage, and he wants nothing to do with it. He has Dracula's blood, he has Dracula's cloak, and Dracula's medallion, which is encrusted with his name. And he shows it to these people. The young nobleman's like, we're here to buy it. And this guy's like, you can't afford it. Fully well knowing that this could bring Dracula back to life. But money's money, you know? And you gotta make it where you can make it. So he gives them this exorbitant price, thinking that they would shy away because of how absurd this price is. Middle-aged Jews are looking at each other like, this is insane. But this young nobleman's like, you said you'd be willing to do anything. So they all fork over money. And this guy, which oddly enough is Mr. Salt, Veruca's father from Willy Wonka. And I like to believe that the money he got for Dracula's cloak, blood, and medallion was the seed money that he used to open his first nut factory. Hence, in a way, Willy Wonka helped resurrect Dracula. Call me crazy, but I think I'm onto something here. So they purchase these items. The young man's like, buy them? Meet me at this old cathedral. They get there. There's some like satanic candles, tapestries, and they're gonna do this ritual, which they don't even know what this ritual is. He's just like, come, bring the items, also bring 3 chalice. He says all these words, you know, he puts on Dracula's cloak. He puts a little bit of Dracula's blood in each cup. Now, what I didn't mention is for some reason, Dracula's blood is in powdered form. So it's highly condensed Dracula formula. And then he cuts his hand and he puts a little drip, which causes it to expand, and their cups are filling up. And they're all like looking at it gross. And he's all like, bottom ups, boys. And they're like, they look at each other and they all nope out. Boomers, you dare mock the ritual of bringing back Dracula? And they're like, F you drink it, a-hole. So he's like, fine. And he takes a big gulp, and things don't go well. He starts begging for help. You're assuming there's some kind of internal burning or something. Their thought is, he needs help. We should probably kill him. Problem solved. So they all just join in kicking and hitting this guy as he's on the ground. Apparently it was enough to push him over the edge, and he dies. They all run away, but they make this pact, and they're like, we think we're in the good. We all just have to come up with, you know, reasons why we weren't anywhere near that place. Everything will be fine. Well, back at this old cathedral, suddenly this dead young nobleman gets covered in dust. And then when the dust blows away, who's there? Christopher Lee as Dracula. And I think the first words out of his mouth are like, you will pay for killing my slave, the 3 of you. And I'm like, wait a minute. You replaced the body of your slave. So he would have technically died. So where's the problem here? We just kind of cut out the middleman. But Dracula doesn't see it that way. I guess he wants to be the bearer of death for his slaves, not someone else. And so the rest of the movie is just him going off after these 3 pillars of the community and killing them, whether it be through seducing their daughters and one of them getting a shovel to the head, or other ways. Now, eventually, the love interest of one of these daughters that was seduced comes and saves the day, but did he really? Because as I already mentioned, all he did was just confuse Dracula, and Drac just falls over dead. So I really don't even know what to say about that. Before we go, I want to know what you think. Is Hammer's Dracula actually scary, or is he just really easy to kill? I mean, we got 7 movies. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Also, I want to hear your favorite Dracula movie. Who you think is the scariest Dracula. It doesn't have to be in the Hammer universe. Just who do you feel? Also, I think most of us agree that Bela Lugosi is probably the most well-known Dracula. I could be wrong, but he only played Dracula like maybe 3 times, maybe 4. And here we have Christopher Lee, who played Dracula 7 times, but it's always Bela Lugosi who comes out as like being the classic Dracula. What's your thoughts on that? There's even a documentary at somewhere. I don't remember what it was particular, but Christopher Lee even points that out himself, kind of in a foot stomp, joking way of, hey, I played him 7 times. Why does Bela Lugosi get the crown of Dracula? And, you know, honestly, that's a good point. So let me know in the comments below. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. You're a champion. You get a gold star. Please like, subscribe, and share. I'm Judah. This has been Creepin' It Real, and I'll talk to you later.